Hey, it's Chris here. In this video, I'm going to put on my nurse hat and give Donald Trump a suggestion of how he could prove people like me and all the psychiatrists and neurologists and psychologists that are seeing evidence of the brain damage associated with dementia in a lot of his behavior and his actions and his words, could put it all to rest. For once and for all, make us look like total fools, that he totally has this big, beautiful, perfect, wonderful brain that's not damaged at all. What he could do before the debate, he could get an MRI and release it to the public. That's all he would have to do. Just get an MRI of his brain and release the results to the public. So all those medical doctors who are expressing concern will see and read those MRIs and say, we were wrong. He has the most wonderful brain that ever existed. It's the most beautiful 78-year-old brain that we've ever seen. The most perfect brain. He doesn't have dementia. All the stuff that we're seeing in his speeches and his rallies, all the stuff we're seeing in his posts on Truth Social, all that stuff, it's just this brilliant, beyond brilliant, this genius re-election campaign scheme, and has nothing to do with dementia. We're so wrong, and we're totally off. That's all he has to do is produce this MRI. And on top of that, he could not only put the dementia talk to rest for himself, but if he's so convinced that Joe Biden, President Biden, has dementia, he could demand the same thing. Donald Trump could say, look, I released my MRI, and it shows that I have the most perfect brain of any 78-year-old in history. And President Biden, you need to release your MRI and just show the American people that you're not demented. And President Biden, at that point, if Donald Trump's MRI shows the most perfect brain of any 78-year-old in history, will have to release his results as well. And then we would know for once and for all whether or not Donald Trump's accusations about Joe Biden's dementia are true or not. But there's even something even better that we could do on top of that. Not only releasing an MRI of your brain, Donald Trump, you could get a blood test. Instead of all that performance-enhancing drug stuff, why don't both you and President Biden take a blood test and test for the beta amyloid protein? You know, that protein that starts to show up when somebody is getting or developing Alzheimer's. It's not the most perfect test, but it's a great indicator. And that would be a great indicator maybe that we need to ask more questions and maybe get an MRI. But yeah, so let's release that blood test. Forget about all that hogwash and baloney about performance-enhancing drugs. There's no performance-enhancing drug that will help somebody with dementia all of a sudden perform as if they don't have dementia. All that stuff, all that accusations from Donald Trump and his surrogates, it's all baloney. There's nothing that can restore lost cognition from the brain damage of dementia. And I don't know, but in a clinical setting, I'm not going to be giving any stimulant, especially for somebody that's going to be on stage at 9 p.m. If they have dementia and sundowning, the last thing I want to do is see them give a stimulant. And who in the world wants to give something that is going to cause somebody to take the edge off of like anger and all that stuff? Like, you're going to depress these symptoms. You're going to put them to sleep. You know, I'm thinking about all this stuff, this nonsense that's going out from the Donald Trump camp about how people can make dementia people function, or those with dementia function. And here's the thing, it does a disservice to those with dementia. It makes light of their condition. It makes it seem that there are families out there that have lost their loved ones to the fog of dementia who would do anything to get them back as their old selves for just an hour, just 30 minutes, just 15 minutes, that somehow there's some medical regimen that will bring them back, that they are being denied. And it's just all foolishness. Instead of doing that, all this performance-enhancing drug stuff, let's just go to the heart of the matter. Let's get that blood test to check for the beta amyloid protein. better yet, why don't we just go ahead and do a cerebral spinal fluid test and test for the beta amyloid tau proteins to see if they're clumping and tangling. That's another indication of Alzheimer's. And we get those, then we can say, okay, well, there's some concerning things here. Let's go ahead and do that MRI. Or we could just jump straight to it. Donald Trump, do the MRI. Release it to the American people. Show once and for all that all the medical professionals that are seeing signs and symptoms of dementia in you are totally wrong. That we're making it all up and it's all false. You could put all that discussion to bed. And if you did that, you'd probably sweep in to win the presidency. You'd probably be up 15, 20 points. Just think about that. President Trump could just walk right in to be elected and to defeat Joe Biden if he could put all these kinds of things to rest about his cognitive state and his cognitive ability. But they're there, they're real, and people are talking about it. So let's get the MRI and let's put all this discussion to rest. And if you are part of the voting American public, we should be screaming to the media to be asking and demanding that Donald Trump release an MRI of his brain and stop talking about Joe Biden and performance-enhancing drugs for a debate. Let's get that MRI of Donald Trump's brain and let those professionals start reading it and tell us what they see in that brain scan. Thank you.